Hey everyone, this is Shooting Nerd. Lately I've had a little bit of an obsession or an increased interest in making sure I have first aid kits at work, at home, and in my car and whatnot. And I finally have them all at work and at home. But recently I've been struggling to find something that I wanted to carry in my car and what will eventually then end up in my earthquake kit that I keep in my car. Recently when I went to CVS Pharmacy here in Southern California, I ran across this little gem. To give you an idea what I'm looking for in a first aid kit for the car, I want something that's relatively small, relatively complete, and I'd also like something that's got some zippers, a lot of storage, and ideally some clear pockets on the inside to make sure that I can see what's going on. To me, organization is half the trouble when you're trying to do stuff. This kit, like a lot of the ones that you buy off the shelf, they have a ton of band-aids, a few things like cold compress, some gauze, tape, scissors, and a few things like that. They list this as having 299 items, and if I think they did the math right, it's 140 of them are band-aids. Honestly, I don't think if you're going to buy a first aid kit, you should be buying band-aids or buying that many with it. I mean, if you need band-aids, well, buy a box of band-aids. To me, having the amount of band-aids that this has is kind of redundant, but oh well. Just to give you a little idea what it actually does have inside, or a little bit better idea what's in here. Again, it's got more band-aids than you'll probably need in 3 lifetimes. Some gauze pads, trauma pads, an emergency blanket, cold compress, a bunch of sterile wipes, gloves, aspirin, and a few things. Just pretty much the generic stuff you'll see in there, although from what I can tell, this actually does have a little more gauze than I'm used to seeing in most kits. Do I think it's complete? Absolutely not. Now, if you're just getting into having some kind of a first aid kit, please just get what you can find. It's having something, no matter how small or less than perfect it is, having something is far better than having nothing. If you want to look online, there are all sorts of places that can give you a lot of information regarding first aid kits. I happen to like using YouTube. I've seen a number of videos, ones by Nut and Fancy, Such Double Aught, USNER Doc, and Skinny Medic. There's a bunch of others up there, and I'll annotate these guys. But get one and start off with that. You can always take stuff out, put stuff in. You need to start someplace. Now, as far as what I would do to make this a little more complete, well, since I do plan on carrying this in a car, most of the time if I'm going to be in an accident where a first aid kit's needed, chances are there's going to be a lot of bleeding. So I'll have some non-stick gauze pads that you can put right onto the wound and don't have to worry about them sticking. And then just a bunch of other pads. Obviously I'm not going to be putting all of this stuff in there at once. Quick clot. If there's a pretty large serious wound, that's just invaluable to have. A couple of triangular pads. Triangular bandages. You can use those for splinting and a bunch of other things. Some more wipes. These are alcohol free, although I do have a box of regular alcohol ones. I prefer a spray, I think. I've used this a couple times, not this exact one obviously. I don't really care for the individual single doses. They're kind of a mess and kind of a pain to use. I've used this once, or this type of system before once. I liked it, not super thrilled, but it just seems a little more convenient. And like I said, I plan to keep this in my car, so I want to have things for, well, you get stuck in traffic. If you've ever taken, let's see, I go up to Las Vegas, getting stuck in traffic can be 8 to 10 hours if things go south, if there's been a fatality up there. Not involved with me necessarily, but it's not uncommon for traffic to take a long time, so a good supply of your analgesic or aspirin or whatever your favorite choice on that. Having some kind of antacid if you're a little bit older is never a bad thing. Another thing is some kind of antidiarrheal. The loperamide. That's not a bad thing to have around. One other thing I think I want to add to it is I don't know what this is actually called. I always just called it crinkle tape. But it's a low stress, moderate adhesion tape that you can just use. It's great for holding dressings in place without putting too much pressure on it. And even though this does have some tape in it, I'd probably put a little more tape. And probably, again, since I mentioned this is going to end up being an earthquake kit, I would probably put in an ace bandage of some sort. This will at some point be placed inside of a backpack with a whole bunch of other supplies, so this will be a work in progress, but I just wanted to put out a starting point that reasonably priced. I picked this up in the store for 19 bucks. You can actually buy them online at the CVS Pharmacy website. I'll post a link to that. They're 14 bucks online, I think, right now. And personally, for something that's this well organized and organizable and comes with a fairly decent selection of first aid materials and equipment in there, I think it's a pretty good deal. Alternately, I had been looking at trying to use some kind of a packet that was similar to this. I spent 5 bucks at the local Army surplus store and wasn't able to find anything that I liked this much as it was. So even though I'm not super thrilled with everything in here, overall I'm pretty happy with what it came with, and it's got plenty of room. It's fairly light. I'll be able to load this up with all the extra materials that I do want, get rid of some of the ones I don't, and I can either tuck this into a nice little corner in my glove box or below a seat, or when I'm ready for the rest of my earthquake kit, I can toss that in there. One thing I might suggest doing, and I'll probably do it myself, is putting a white cross on it, or a white background with a red cross on it to make it clear that this is a first aid kit. Coming in a translucent blue like this, I don't think it's necessarily obvious that it's a first aid kit, although clearly with a nice, neat little first aid manual, it definitely helps. But again, if you don't have a first aid kit to start off with, get one. You can always customize it later. The first kit I actually had was just this little water bottle. It was better than nothing. Had a blanket, some gauze, just some basic things like that. Again, having something is far better than having nothing. Anyhow, hope that's a little bit of help to you and helps you get started on getting a proper first aid system at home, in your car, and at work. And until next time, this is Shooting Nerd.